Genshin Impact. You've seen the memes, the gameplay, the advertisements, and maybe even heard some weird rumors about what its players are supposedly attracted to. Despite the impressions the meme and the community might give you, Genshin Impact has actually aged quite well over the past 2 years, and remains one of the world's most popular action RPGs. But in 2022, is it too late to start playing? Can new players ever catch up to the veterans, or is it a doomed effort from the start? Let's find out together. Genshin Impact is a game where you play as a character that travels across worlds, but becomes separated from your twin sibling after your path is blocked by an unknown god. You are forced to explore the world and parlay with the 7 gods in order to gather clues on how to reunite with your lost sibling. Your main gameplay involves progressing through the story, killing all sorts of monsters, and exploring each region to gain resources to level up your characters. After progressing through all of the current story quest content, your gameplay becomes a repetitive daily grind. This mainly involves doing your 4 daily commissions, collecting your resource expeditions in teapot currency, and farming whatever you can with your limited resin currency, then logging off. This lack of repetitive content is very frustrating for older players, but fortunately for new players, this is not a concern at all. You have lots of content in the form of all the updates in the past 2 years to enjoy right out of the gate, which entails some 200 story and world quests to do, 2 to 3,000 chests to open, and 3 fully finished regions out of the planned 7 to explore. To put that in perspective, the game released with 1 finished region, about 50 total quests, and maybe 5 to 600 chests for you to collect. Without having to worry about running out of content or risk of burnout at least for a few months, you can instead focus your attention on enjoying the game's beautiful art style, combat mechanics, storyline, and maybe those kind of fan arts as well. The maturity of the game also brings in yet another advantage for new players. That is, the many quality of life changes and nice mechanics that were implemented since the launch of the game. Mechanics such as condensed resin cost reduction on weekly bosses, city reputation, and the Serenity Pot were all non-existent at the beginning of the game. Many of these mechanics have since become an essential part of the game, helping players to progress faster with more resources or to speed up the boring grinding process. While older players had to deal with many hassles and annoyances, newer players will have a much better overall gameplay experience thanks to these quality of life changes and other implemented mechanics. Another huge advantage about starting Genshin now is that the community has grown much more mature than when the game was released, for good or for worse. From an objective standpoint though, compared to the start of the game, where many fake guys and bad information was circulating around the community and the internet, resources to help players are now much more reliable and plentiful. Quest completion, storyline/lore, team building, area exploration, hidden achievement, you name it, you've got it. The game's theory crafting community has also grown to be much better than the game's early days, with easily accessed build guides for virtually every single character, meaning you can play your favorite characters the quote-unquote mathematically correct and most meta way if you so choose to desire. In summary, the resources available to help new players are much more plentiful and accurate when the game is released. Definitely a huge advantage for newer players. Now let's move on to the downsides of starting Genshin in 2022. One of the biggest things about Genshin is that there are tons of time-gated content, such as events, and especially the heavily resin-gated task, artifact farming. Artifacts are a huge part of maximizing your character's damage output and potential in Genshin Impact, and artifact farming is comparable to farming for character gear in other games. Every artifact run uses 20 resin, which is a very limited currency you gain by either waiting for it to automatically regenerate by 1 every 8 minutes, or buying it with the gacha currency, Primo Gems. Artifact RNG is very bad in this game, with many layers of varying randomness. For example, an ideal onset flower artifact with crit rate and crit damage substats will take on average 3,000 resin to obtain, while an onset goblet artifact with the correct elemental damage bonus plus crit rate and crit damage substats can take more than 10,000 resin to get. This means it will maybe take years for a new player to be able to match the artifact quality of a veteran player who's been playing since launch, even if you do go ahead and spend real money to purchase more resin. Artifacts are not the only thing that newer players will be put at a natural disadvantage though, as there are also other crucial resources that are time-gated through different means, such as the Crown of Insights, which are time-gated behind special events, and are used to increase your character's talent level from 9 to 10. This means that newer players have already missed out on many crowns with zero ability to catch up. This is just the tip of the iceberg, however, as time-gated content will be a constantly repeating theme for newer players for quite a while to come. Another downside about starting Genshin now is that every new character you pull will be much less versatile immediately due to your lack of older characters. Genshin is a game that revolves building all of its characters around others to create very specific teams where each character plays an important role. As newer players will naturally lack many of the older characters, their team building potential is severely limited. For example, if a brand new player is to pull on the banner of the upcoming character Yelan, the versatility of Yelan will be vastly diminished due to the newer player's lack of other characters to properly assemble her into a team. While it is definitely true that Genshin is neither super meta demanding or does it deviate from other gacha games when it comes to the method of obtaining characters, it's still a problem objectively, as it can be very frustrating for newer players to feel like their new character isn't very powerful. The last issue I'm going to be talking about is a huge issue that, in my opinion, needs to be addressed right now. The newer, more recent areas are account level and story progression locked. This is a huge problem, as many characters will be needing materials exclusive to said new regions in order to be ascended and raise their level cap. While the adventure level requirement of 30 is not high at all right now, easily achievable by playing diligently over the course of 2 to 3 weeks, it takes a lot of time to get through all the story quests in order to reach the newest area, which is called Inazuma. Ascending your characters is not the only thing that's region locked, as certain events can also be set in newer regions, such as with the past Irodori Festival in Update 2.6, which is only accessible to players who have unlocked Inazuma. This means newer players that has yet to unlock the region will miss out on lots of valuable rewards or be forced to quickly grind through hours of story quests to unlock the region. The region lock issue will only get worse with version 3.0 that's coming out in a few months, which will add another region to Genshin, further exacerbating this problem. In summary, if you don't want to have your gameplay experience and comfort be thoroughly destroyed by the developer's negligence, it is highly recommended to start playing Genshin right now if you plan to do it in the future in order to avoid running into this issue. In conclusion, Genshin is just like any other gacha game, lacking in any meaningful catch-up mechanic, with spending money being the only real way to catch up, if at all meaningfully. I sincerely hope Hoyoverse will soon realize these issues and start to fix them. Genshin is a beautiful game, but it is a huge turn-off for new players as they are being put at such a disadvantage if they are to start now. If you do plan to start playing Genshin in 2022, your expectations should be more so adjusted to enjoying the game for itself, not trying to maximize your character's potential or to ever catch up to veteran players, at least for a while, lest you grind yourself to a burnout and find your bank account completely empty. This is Atomic, and I'll see you guys in the next one.